My face currently feels like I've been run through by Tom Stewart.
Puts it to the top of the square. Oh, beautiful little fist in there by Dale. Crucial centimetre moments.
He definitely has a bit of the Belcho spirit, as I have a bit of the Belcho spirit.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Back Pocket. Do you remember when football was fun, Jack?
Oh, I watch cricket now.
I don't remember.
It was pretty bad when you the other night were watching the cricket. We were out. We weren't even home. And we got a message from you about the cricket. I was like, oh boy.
I really dislike cricket.
It's got real bad. When Alastair's like, the cricket's more tolerable
That's
than the
not
football.
true. I don't dislike cricket. I just don't want to watch it.
Yeah. No, I get you. I remember when football was good. Yeah.
Your
it was
team's
like
won
last year.
this century a
Yeah.
game.
A few. Yeah, it was a pretty brutal week for you. It was a pretty brutal week for a couple of teams, though. Brisbane lost to Hawthorn. They've lost 4 games in a row to Hawthorn.
Yeah.
How do you do that in this era of football?
You can't even say they've only been losing to James Sicily because he wasn't there for one of them.
No. And they've also had, like, one of them was in Tassie, not even at the MCG, so it's not even the MCG hooter. They just can't beat Hawthorn, which is funny, so it's okay.
I mean, aren't Hawthorn historically pretty okay at Tassie?
Yeah, they are, but not in the last 4 years. They've only won, like, 3 games a season. And
there you
in
go.
all 4 of those years, one of them's been against Brisbane, so...
I don't pay attention to Tassie, so there you go.
Yeah, that's fair. I guess into the votes. So it's me first. 5 votes, Greg, for that cartwheel. So my one this week was to Nick Vlostone.
Oh, man.
I tossed and turned around a couple of my votes this week, but Vlostone ended up with my... Oh, no, it's not. Sorry, scratch that.
Are you reading them backwards?
No, he's not my 5. That's okay. My one this week is to Griffin Logue.
Oh, okay.
Who I... Nope. Never mind. It was to...
Holy,
what have I done here?
Are you okay?
It's to Griffin Logue. Sorry. Yeah, I'm okay. My
Do you
one this
remember
week...
when doing votes was fun?
I did. My one this week was to Griffin Logue. I thought he had a really good game. I think it was definitely his best game for North. He did a great job on Hogan when he was on him, and Hogan was deadly when Logue wasn't on him.
Yep.
He had 7 spoils, won 4 out of 5 of his one-on-ones, 7 defensive half pressure acts, and also threw 4 score involvements the other way. 8 marks, 5 of those were intercepts. I really liked it. They looked like they were going to get that done for what I thought was most of that game. So that's my very confusing one vote for this week.
To Griffin Flofton.
Griffin Flofton.
Or Nick Logue. Nick Logue sounds like a cool guy. I'd have a few pints with Nick Logue.
Yeah.
My one vote goes to Lachie Jones from the Port Adelaide Football Club.
Yep, he was my 3. So
There you go. I've seen Lachie Jones have some pretty shocking games this season, and
fact,
I believe I have
during the first
exclaimed
quarter you
on
said,
the couch,
"Why
why
was
are
he
you
out
in
there?"
this team?
then he went on to play a fantastic game.
Yeah, I'll just rattle through his stats real quick. 19 disposals, 6 marks, 11 intercepts, 14 pressure acts, 4 rebounds, 6 1%ers, and a moustache. He had a good game.
A good moustache. I also like that he had 10 ground ball gets in those intercepts, and famously kept Artie Jones to 0 touches.
6 tackles, but
on a
0
night,
touches.
On a night, the other L. Jones had pretty much a stinker. He was really good. I really liked his game. Enough for me to give him 3 votes. So, yeah, it was good stuff. My 2 this week was to Nick Vlostone, who had 26 disposals, 93% in pretty shocking weather. It was just a really good game from him. He had 9 intercepts, 7 rebounds and 5 score involvements, 12 marks and 5 of those were intercepts, along with 10 pressure acts and 2 spoils. I'm not sure there was much more he could have done on a pretty gross night to be playing footy in Perth. So, yeah, that was me.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's all over the place. So Nick Flostone's my 5. I'm just going to say it now because I want to talk about him later.
Yeah.
I don't think they win that game without him.
Yeah, I think that's probably fair
And
to
I
say.
think that's why I've got him so high. 93% disposal efficiency is good and way better
In that
than
weather?
anyone else on my list who all played in much better weather. We all know Flostone's really good.
Yep,
So
we've said it before. He was your
5.
yeah. Okay.
Yeah, right at the top. That's why when I was like, you reading them backwards, man?
Yeah, I thought that must be what you meant, but you also could have made him to 4 or whatever. Yeah, that's totally fair. So
you've done 2, I'm doing 2.
yeah, who's your 2?
Messiah Wanganeen Millera.
Okay, yeah, he was very close for me.
I saw a bunch of team of the weeks putting Sinclair in defence. Like,
And he had seven
seven.
more than a quarter of the centre bounce attendances for that game.
Yeah. 7 centre
I wrote
bounce
that on my-
attendances, and he had 2 clearances. But Wayne Miller has been really good this year. 30 disposals, 9 marks, 8 intercepts, 9 pressure acts, 6 rebounds, 2 1%ers. He could lift there a little bit. But I think he covers ground really well as a defender, which is important. You look at his heat map and it looks like he's everywhere, but he is playing a really solid defensive game.
Yeah.
Don't be fooled.
No, he was very, very good. Close to best on ground. So I understand that. My 3 this week, and it was a weird one because everyone I saw that game differently except for hearing the post-match interview with Max Gawn. But my 3 was Adam Tomlinson. I thought he was massive, especially in the last quarter when Melbourne really needed to hang on because they did not put Collingwood away like they should have.
No.
He was brilliant at just closing down that last term. I heard Gawn say afterward, he's like, Tomlinson was great, especially after being dropped this year to make room for the Petty Lever May combo. It's only his second game back after being dropped. Brilliant. 15 disposals, 13 of those were kicks, also at 93%, so fits with Loston on that. 4 intercepts and 10 marks with 8 pressure acts, 3 tackles and 2 spoils. I just thought he had a great job of just closing down as much of that game as he could when it was really on the line.
No, totally fair. I think Tomlinson's an underrated player. I remember there was a lot of talk when they got him across, and obviously he had his really bad injury, he's been dropped. But I think he's a very solid under-the-radar player.
Yeah.
Actually under the radar.
And if he hadn't done I think it was his ACL in that premiership year, he would have stayed in that side. It was just really unlucky for him that he didn't.
So my 3 weeks goes to James Sicily.
3 weeks to James Sicily?
Yeah,
he was my 5
I
votes.
put him in 3 so I could say 3 weeks to James Sicily. It's a great bit. Great bit. Where's the
little sign? I think it's hidden so it can't be attacked.
3 weeks to James Sicily, 32 disposals, 12 marks, 10 intercepts, 9 pressure acts, 7 rebounds, 8 1%ers. I think 500 metres gained.
It's just
400
incredible.
something.
He is playing, like I said, he's my 5. He's playing some of the craziest footy. He comes in, gets suspended, comes in again, 2 best on grounds on either side of suspension. I wrote here, he's having the kind of year that wins a midfield or a Brownlow, except he keeps getting suspended and he can't win the Brownlow. 3 frees, 4 and 0 against in the most un-Sicily fashion I think you could possibly imagine. It's the only game this year he's had a positive freeze ratio. He was just brilliant. Again, the reason they won. He's been in 2 games they've won in a row in the space of 3 weeks. He's been the reason.
He is a force.
He's so good.
And it's crazy to see how far he's come as a footballer. So
I think I've got it in here to talk about. I put it in one of my topics, which is that he was named captain this year, and a lot of people were talking about him being a bit of an immature footballer to make captain.
It's happened. That's in the past.
He's worn it brilliantly. His leadership's been almost as valuable as how good he is as a footballer.
He's also probably the second oldest person on their list.
Yeah, very close. But you can see how much more stable those younger players are when he's playing with them. He's averaged 27 disposals this year, 4.5 spoils, 10 marks and 3 intercept marks. As a defender, he's only behind Dacos and Sinclair for disposals, who are basically midfielders. Yeah. And he's, for me, just the right side of the dickhead line. Which is the wrong side of that line is Danaher and Lynch and Green. Whereas Sicily's just on enough of the side of that where it's larrikin dickheadism. I'll laugh at what Sicily does. Just enough that it doesn't quite rub me the wrong way. But it helps that he's playing irresistible football. Yeah. Just so good.
Good to watch.
So I think that just leaves your 4.
Yeah, and you went Tomlinson, I just went May.
May, yeah, that's fair. And look, he was very good. And like I said, I understood why May and even Lever were mentioned in a lot of people's teams this week. But I thought Tomlinson was great.
I think May has just been putting in a very solid couple of weeks of footy.
There's a reason he's been, so good for so long. And it's just that he's a very good defender and he's very consistent.
Yes.
Their defence game, Melbourne's, was so on, and it was such a strong part of their premiership year. Their midfield.
You could pick out almost anyone from that defence game.
Watching that game, you could see Collingwood doing their get out and run, but then by the time it got to the forward 50, Tomlinson, Lever, and May were all just ready for whatever they were going to throw at them, and they just couldn't get past it. I even said to you and one of our other mates that day, if you got an AI to write a game from last year that Collingwood won and everyone called them lucky and they're getting away with this. That was the kind of game it was, and Melbourne just didn't let it happen. And when Collingwood got those last few goals in a row, I was like, oh, here we go. It's just Collingwood again. and they still couldn't.
It does wonders for Melbourne's premiership credentials.
Especially they were in a rough...
Yeah, they let them back in, but they defended incredibly the whole game.
And they dominated them. Like, without the scoreboard.
The scoreline didn't help.
They dominated. They should have won by 6 or more goals. They dominated that game.
Yeah.
So, like, a lot of confidence will come from the fact that their game style worked and it held fast with no Oliver. And that they still managed to hold off Collingwood despite their goal kicking being poor. So, yeah.
And the fact that when Collingwood get their run on, I'm sure the doubt sets in every team's mind.
Absolutely. That last 3 minutes when they kicked those 2 goals, they would have just been like, oh, you can't be serious. And then, no, they just locked it down. So that was really good for them. My other ones...
I just said Jordan Ridley. That's
yep.
what goes on.
Jordan Ridley, special mention to me I already said that one. And...
I already said that one.
Harris Andrews is a great game, but there are a fair few goals kicked on him by young Hawks forwards. Wilkie, it was an awful game to watch. That was one of the worst games I've ever watched. But he was good. Quainer was close again, probably like number 6 or 7 for mine in my votes.
Quainer's been very good this year.
And we already mentioned, Sinclair had 28% of the centre bounce attendances, which is just way too much midfield time.
Feels like it's been weeks since I watched that awful Saint Sydney first quarter.
I wrote here that the Pride game was so bad it almost felt homophobic. Like, sometimes a close finish to a game like hides how bad the game was, and I feel like everyone needs to be reminded, if they don't remember, that was probably the worst game of this year. And I think if Blakey stays out there, Sydney win. I'm still not convinced St Kilda play finals. It was a win that really helped right their season, but I still don't think they're there.
Who was rucking for Sydney?
What's his name? Gangly man. Big meth energy, West Coast. Hickey. Tom Hickey. No offense, Tom Hickey.
Ron Marshall had 50
you just give meth energy. It's not a... Don't know, it's just the eyes. He stares down the camera when he has
said like Forest Man.
No, when he has his team photo taken, he's he does staring down the camera. Eyes. He really goes for it.
No, Ron Marshall had 50 hit-outs, which is an indictment, really.
In the Colts game I did on the weekend, which was lower standard because a lot of the state boys were away. The Colts ruck for Swan Districts had 60 hit-outs in shorter quarters.
Did you see the Facebook video I tagged you in from PointsBet?
No, I didn't. How did I... was it today?
Maybe they deleted it because I tagged you with a comment and then at the bottom I said, P.S. fuck PointsBet and the gambling ads.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But it was of a state country level ruckman, this huge tank of a lad. He got like 50 disposals in the midfield, 28 clearances, every single hit out. And the footage is of just him, all of the normal sized people coming at them, and he don't argue them, but they would just go flying like a comic book.
That's amazing.
I just tagged you and said, surely gets a game over Segler. And then I said, fuck PointsBet, and they must have deleted my comment.
You can't say fuck PointsBet. Yeah, it's right. That's kind of like what it was. We had when I played on the 17s footy, we had someone who'd like grown into a man before that age, which was fitting because his name was Chilcott, so Chillers, and then Fridge became it because he was like 190 centimetres tall, but also 110 kilos.
No, this guy looked 180 kilos.
Oh yeah, but this was 17-year-olds. So he's just running through the midfield, built like an AFL player, and genuinely just like throwing people away. And you're like, that's rude. Another one I wrote the topic as you wouldn't download an umpire, which clearly I was trying to think I was funny then. On the radio the other day, I was driving home, and there was a representative for community umpires on the radio. And look, the thing he was talking about was good. And it was about like curbing abuse against like local umpires in like not even waffle but like amateur leagues. But he said the words nobody else expects to get verbally abused in the workplace, and I was like, this man has never worked hospitality or customer service. A lot of people expect to get verbally abused in their workplace daily. Yeah. Like, I do think that parents should stop yelling at umpires, sure, but like people definitely expect to get abused, right?
I've definitely received stuff as bad as what an umpire would get, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
It's just me trying to help someone out with their internet.
Yeah. What do you mean the price has gone up by $12 a year?
I hate people.
The worst.
I would download an umpire.
Yeah, I would.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can we download David
David Rohan? David Roden?
Roden? Yeah,
I think I would.
To AFL 23 and...
I don't know if he's not in there.
Well, I mean, Simo's the umpire, apparently, in some of those glitches, so...
I love when it cuts to the coaches and it's just a random NPC model.
Pointing at the players. My bold call is that the Eagles are going to win their first game after the bye.
Who are they playing?
Sydney at the SCG. And there's a few stats that make that the worst call ever. They're in their worst losing streak in history. They haven't beaten Sydney at the SCG since 1999 with an average losing margin of more than 30 points. But I still reckon they're going to do it. It's interesting. So like that, I heard someone call the radio the other day and they were talking about how West Coast have almost exclusively played Brisbane in Brisbane for the last 13 years. And the opposite is true for Sydney. West Coast have only been to Sydney 9 times in that almost over 20-year period.
Yeah.
For that losing margin. I just think that they're primed for it. I think that a bad day for Sydney could coincide with a good day for West Coast
Are you going to tip
after
him?
the bye.
Are you locking it in?
Why not? Yeah, I'll tip him. I'll put it down. I'll do it. That's next week, not this week. They've both got a bye. No, only West Coast have the bye. That doesn't help my point. But it's going to be fine. On the West Coast note, though, how good are, and we kind of talked about this in our little chat the other day, but Larkey and Allen,
Yeah.
in awful teams,
Yeah.
they're 4th and 6th in the Coleman right now, playing for two teams that are so far off the pace.
Yeah.
17th and 18th for total shots on goal, those two teams are. And inside 50s as well, 18th and 16th, whatever. They're 100 inside 50s behind the 16th team, those two sides.
Damn.
They're
That's a
so
lot.
far off, the pace.
guess,
They're
West
the only
Coast
two
don't have another
teams
target.
with less than 1,000.
Darling's
inside 50s.
there, but he's not a target this year.
Yeah, no, and he's missed games as well.
And I guess Kangaroos have Zerha, but
Yeah, it's hard. And Coleman Jones when he's been playing.
true. He's actually looks good recently.
My side note was that Sydney have the most shots on goal in the AFL
Really?
this year, and they sit 12th in points for.
That's surprising.
So they're obviously having a lot fall short because then I don't think they're the worst for accuracy, but they're clearly having
Happily can't kick that far.
so many fall short. Or when they're still you can back Buddy from here. It's he's 100 years old. He's not doing that anymore. I think that's all of my points this week. Yeah, cool.
That's a good short podcast.
Did you have any topics?
No, of course not.
I wrote down the news items this week.
My only topic is football. No fun for me.
Yeah.
I got the footage. I got him. Sorry.
Oh, okay, all right.
Podcast break while Jack watches a Facebook video.
He just held... Okay. Look at him go. Oh, he's got some turn of pace to him too. Oh, he tried to... Oh, boy. Oh,
He's
jeez.
just smashing him.
We're going to have to share this to Twitter somehow. It's on TikTok. We'll find that.
I can download the video.
At Premier Data on TikTok. We'll share that to Twitter. 224 ranking points.
Yeah.
Good on him. And his name's Shen?
28 clearances.
What league is that?
I don't know. Very country.
I rate him very highly. I
My
like it.
comment's still there, by the way.
Oh, it is?
Fuck points fed.
I wonder why I didn't get that. Maybe I blocked them.
Probably.
That would make more sense. So my few pieces of AFL news this week are...
This is the podcast episode where we stop to watch a Facebook video from
who one of us has blocked. Sam Darcy can't take a break. I feel like they would love to have him over Josh Bruce right now.
Oh, Josh Bruce was awful, wasn't he?
Shocking. I wonder if do you reckon they've tried him up forward at any point, or it's
No,
just
he's never kicked 10 goals, so why
yeah,
would you?
he's definitely never been tried.
They play North soon?
No, they already did that. Remember, he didn't play. Yeah, Sam Darcy broken jaw on his first game back.
We can catch a break.
That's well, yeah, you can catch a broken jaw. Injuries, Achilles. Nat Nui's done, isn't he? He never plays again. I can't see a world.
Apparently, they want him to
West
go on
Coast said he's
next
going to
year.
play again next year, but I can't see a world where that's true. I feel like he's got a contract till the end of the year, so they're not going to
Say it now.
say he's
but
sacked mid-year. But
I can't imagine someone who was struggling to play 60% football time after an Achilles at however old he is, 30-something.
who snapped it again?
Yeah, I don't see it happening. I mean, it would be a really good story if it
would
did
be.
happen, especially if he played well. I think they put it all on Bailey Williams now. He's playing
He's been
really
great.
well.
He's had a few weeks in a row. He was their best player again on the weekend.
You can't play them both in the side.
No,
And
I
if you
agree.
do, it severely hampers
Williams,
Williams'
I think, is
development and style.
Despite the fact that Nat Nui carries the team, in terms of emotions, carries the team when he's out there, Bailey Williams is playing better football than Nat Nui would.
He kind of reminds me a little bit of Matthew Cruiser, the way he follows everything up.
Yep, he's really good. He's very attacking as well. He gets up forward and he takes strong marks. I think he's going to be a hell of a player when he's at his.
I think he can definitely improve on his ruck side. But I've been for over a year now very firmly in Big Bad Bailey Williams' corner, even when West Coast supporting friends said otherwise.
They're still
They're slowly coming around. I went on to the West Coast Big Footy forum and they have a thread on him and they were all being nice for once.
Because he's their only good player at the moment.
Yeah.
I mean, Sheed's playing sensational footy somehow.
Oh, he was, and then he wasn't.
Degoe going to Bali.
Probably
I
a
don't know
bad
if he
idea.
did. It was just that he was cleared to. I haven't seen news about it.
Well, that's the thing. It was a big hubbub about nothing.
It was just that he had permission to go on holiday.
The media asked the question, trying to create a story.
And McRae said he's got permission to go on holiday.
He can go where he wants.
Which he should have permission to go on holiday. He's an adult.
But as a player, he probably shouldn't.
No, he should stay with the team.
Mid-season.
I also think they win that game with him. The form he's been in this season.
Probably. He's been in very good form.
He's really a better matchup than they had for Petrarca in the middle. I don't think they had anyone strong enough in there to...
But then again, if you add Oliver, does that change?
Oh, for sure.
Again?
Yeah, absolutely. Melbourne are such a better team with Oliver.
Yeah.
Pickett was an interesting one this week. We learned more about that since we last talked about it. It was commercial theft, not residential theft, which people were implying.
Oh.
So it was robbery of businesses, totaling about $350,000.
Transferred
Transferred into one of his accounts and out of. And he was apparently caught on CCTV wearing clothes purchased with that money.
So it's
money
laundering?
It was not money laundering, it was burglary, and then they just filtered it through states. And it's like you suggested that the police had to wait until he was
in WA
back in WA to arrest him.
He probably just shouldn't have gone on the
well, I mean, he probably didn't realise he was going to get caught, but obviously innocent until proven guilty.
If I commit a crime, I think about it for the rest of my life.
So would I, but I don't commit large crimes. I commit jaywalking often.
Steal cheese.
Yeah, I've stolen a cheese. Sometimes I've stolen.
Woolworths doesn't listen to the podcast, so we're fine.
You sure?
Sponsor us, Woolworths, and I'll pay for my cheese.
You'll get the money straight back into your pocket. Brody versus the Goal Review 2.
I don't know about this.
Snicko Boogaloo.
Don't
So
say words.
the first time Brody was in controversy to do with the Goal Review was obviously Jazz Hands, which was a few weeks of...
Yeah. That was
did
real
he touch
bad.
it?
No, he didn't.
No, he didn't. This week, not intentional, he was tracking back with the flight. I think it was a Banfield kick. He's tracking back with the flight and the goal umpire said, I think it's hit the post. Can I just get a score review? Brody has run full pelt into the post. There's no snicko and there's only one angle because Brody's hit the post. They can't tell if there's snicko and they had to stick with the goal review. Everyone's pretty sure that it was a goal. But once again, Brody has defeated the goal review system. He is the king of outmaneuvering the AFL score system, which is very easy to outmaneuver.
Yeah, because it's terrible.
Amazing. The fact that he's done it twice now.
I just have to laugh at all those Richmond supporters who accuse everyone of doing jazz hands now after they got one.
You did it.
This is your invention.
You invented it. It'd be like if a Bulldogs fan was like, that's a throw. It's all right, mate.
Yeah.
Calm down.
Could you imagine?
I think they've got more sense than that. I think they're pretty comfortable with the knowledge that their team throws it a lot. It's like I was saying the other day, they're like certain commentator code words for things that they're like not sure
Somehow
they're
got
allowed
it
to
out.
say because they might get in trouble. Like somehow got it out or almost threw it away.
Yeah.
Ran his full distance means he definitely ran too far.
See that one? Where the guy... was it the Sydney game where he ran like 5 metres and got called?
Yeah, that was wild.
In defence?
Wild.
And then people are running 40 metres out from full back?
Was it Jake Lloyd got called and it was like, Jay, you ran to the 50-yard. You hit and you looked bemused. That's 30 metres. Definitely.
That was one of the most baffling things I've seen.
And then you'll see, but they're not 15s are baffling as well. Oh yeah, that's not barely the distance.
Yeah.
It means that's not 15.
You see marks paid inside 50 to go 8 metres, and then you'll see marks in the middle go 25 and nothing.
Yeah, it's good. I like her. And the umpires decided he had no prior. Apparently, you're like, okay. I love a good commentator code. Butler free to play. Sicily 3 weeks. I don't know how they got different results.
Well, Sicily's gone on trial.
Yeah, on Monday.
He gets off.
He has to, right? There's no way.
There's so many
what else could he have done?
extenuating circumstances there.
He wasn't twisting anyone. He was outstretched. Like that was one of the. If Dunkley doesn't land on his head, that's holding the ball.
Yeah.
Not Dunkley, McCluggage. If he doesn't land on his head, that's holding the ball. The play got paused because it was a pretty horrifying incident to look at. But it was holding the ball. It was a great tackle. He dove for him to catch him, probably a faster player than him, pulled him to the ground. That's holding the ball. It's just really unlucky that Brockman ended up where he was and that he got that push from Kitty Coleman moments before it. Like, amazing to me. I like that the AFL asked for Hawthorn's evidence to not be able to be provided. That was the wildest part of that trial. The AFL has requested that evidence not be provided by a biomechanist. How is that a fair trial?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would actually prefer they didn't give evidence. Why? Are they an expert? That's actually the AFL's biggest fear, is experts.
Well, they're not very good at beating them, so I'm sure that one gets overturned at trial.
Oh, absolutely.
And I personally...
I think almost any time it's been taken, like the club has had enough feeling that they can take it to trial, in my memory they've all gotten off. Like where the club has gone, this is rubbish. Like there's no way that's right.
It's not all of them, for sure.
It's not all, but most of them, I think, end up getting off. Because, that was baffling. Richmond's also taken Mansell to trial because while I do think that one's like a week, I don't think it's 3.
Yeah, I don't think it's 3. He'll get knocked down.
I think 1 week was probably fair for that one because, sure, he, probably could have not...
They just saw the head back
hit him
and went 10 weeks.
Well, they reckon Aish is missing 2 weeks for her, so he's clearly in a worse way than he looked when he got hit, but I don't see that as a 3-weeker. My favourite was I saw a tweet from someone saying, like, the AFL, like, based on these 3 acts being 3 weeks each when the AFL put their choice down and obviously changed the tribunal, versus the Cosy Pickett one earlier in the year, the AFL is now blatantly saying that the outcome is more important than the action. Like, that's them, like, very clearly saying that the outcome is what they care about most. Because if you can say Pickett was fine and you're trying to give Sicily and Butler 3 weeks each, then it's the outcome, isn't it? Because what Pickett did was the most dangerous thing I've seen on a football field this year.
It's one of the worst ones this year. Maybe some of the slings.
But Broad was the one we all understand. I think anyone with a sensible football mind watched the Broad one and went, that is absolutely exactly the amount of weeks he got. Even Broad was like, maybe 1 week less, but I accept it, like, all good. Whereas, the Sicily and Butler one's baffling to me that the AFL could ask for 3 weeks. I could not get it. I talked about the AFL dropping the ball when they admitted that Butler let go. And like, what more can you do? Anyway, I don't think any of our top bunch got votes this week. Sicily got votes again. He won't jump to the top. And
May'd be
Flostone will jump into the top 10.
You know them written down?
Yeah, I got the top 20 in front of me.
Stephen May.
Stephen May is...
I gave him 4 votes. Surely he's in the top 20.
He's not in the top 20 yet.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it is crazy. We've been sharing those votes around. Top 10 is currently Moore, Wilkie, Andrews, Sinclair, Ridley, Sicily, Stewart, Blakey, Aaliyah, Ballard.
Give me that list. I can't understand your voice.
Understandable. I've also got the votes on there. The games on there this week, so that if we don't have to frantically try and search for them. May's been in a lot of special mentions. I think he might have about 5 votes. I can double check that, and it'll be updated tomorrow.
Charlie Ballard should have more votes than that.
Ballard should have more votes than that.
That's pretty good overall, though, I reckon.
Yeah, I don't mind it. Every time I see, like, people's rolling all-Australian teams, when I don't, like, viscerally disagree with the decision, most of the actual backmen that aren't Dacos are in our top 10, so it's probably fair at the moment.
More Wilkie, Andrews, Sinclair, Sicily, Blakey.
I find it so strange that the AFL's deciding to, this week, go back to Thursday night.
You really take this seriously. What the fuck is all this shit, man?
It's just so I don't get distracted.
I come here with a blanket
Yeah.
and my phone. I've been on the internet.
And passion. I find it so weird that the AFL's decided to go back to Thursday night footy this week when there's 6 buys.
Yeah.
Why not last week when there's only 2?
I-
Or like one buy, but only 2 teams on the buy.
Well, I don't know. The AFL's fucking stupid, man.
We've got only 2 games on Saturday and Sunday, and we're going, we'll have a Thursday game.
If they had the Thursday game last week, it would have been
I think I saw someone talking about
Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and I hate that.
I saw someone talking about it on the internet today, and I think I get it. It's because the AFL knows that the Ashes starts on Friday, and the main day anyone in Australia watches of the Ashes when it's actually on in England is the first day. So they put the Brisbane versus Sydney game on the Friday night because that will get less viewership anyway, and they've moved Port Geelong to Thursday night because if it's not in Victoria, the Victorian crowds are more likely to watch it on TV.
Surely if they wanted people to put a game on there they didn't want people to watch on the Friday, you pick Carlton Gold Coast or North Bulldogs, right?
You would, but when they were scheduling Carlton Gold Coast, they thought those 2 teams were going to be fighting for finals. North Bulldogs, I can't explain that one. That one should have been hidden in that time slot. Absolutely. But they had to pretend they weren't hiding it by putting
Gold Coast are only a game out of the 8.
by putting 2 good, and they might not even be after the bye rounds are over, because they're a game behind being a game out of the 8.
Wow, Gold Coast are perfectly balanced.
Yeah,
100%.
as all things should be. Yeah. It's very nice.
666 991 991.
Yeah, it's a very tight. They should end the season now.
In 11th? Yeah, that sounds about right.
But yeah, they obviously put Brisbane and Sydney there because they were both good teams.
Yeah.
But like the AFL knowing that the supporter bases aren't huge enough to support that game. But yeah, we've already talked about why not just do 4-4-6 or 4-4-4-6 for the buys instead of the weird 4-2-6-6 setup we've had. Anyway, I'll never understand what the AFL's doing ever. We're just in a world where it's all confusing. So I don't know if you've got any more to talk about. I think I'm a roundabout that for this week.
I don't have anything to talk about ever.
Most of the
but
games
I seem to do a lot of talking.
Most of the games this weekend didn't really do it for me. Well, I mean,
They're doing smart things by scheduling my shitty team on the Sunday, so I have to watch all the games before.
so
I
you don't lose interest.
Yeah, it's
Lewis Young needs a spell. One of our favourite defenders on this podcast. He's still up there in spoils and everything, but he just looks so out of sorts. He makes some horrid mistakes.
I think he's lost confidence. Both he and McGovern are dropping simple marks, and Lewis Young did a bit of that last year, but he was spoiling in the right places and getting to contests. But so many times, Lewis Young will get the ball, he'll take steps back, stand still for 25 seconds, and then kick it 10 metres to someone even more under pressure. And that needs to be sorted out, which is a real problem. And I like Lewis Young. He's still young. He's a key defender, so he's got room to grow.
I think he will become a better footballer, and he's playing as a player. I think sometimes players like that need a week out to go and practice their craft in a lower pressure situation.
It doesn't help that they've been throwing him into the ruck for
no,
the last half.
It doesn't, which is what he doesn't want to do.
No.
Yeah, I think it's just a confidence issue. Like I talked to you about the other day, it's just quarters of games. There's I think half of Carlton's losses this year, that whole loss margin has been 1 quarter of the game. And if you just went the other 3 quarters, they'd won it. And that's without taking into account the accuracy, which is horrendous. Like it's so hard to watch.
It is the worst accuracy over a 5-game run ever.
That doesn't shock me. It's been outstanding to watch.
Like 33,
it was like
80
I said
something?
to you last week when I learned it that Geelong beat the Bulldogs with their first game with positive accuracy for 3 weeks after losing 3 in a row in the games they had more shots on goal than the opposition.
You sent me the expected score from the weekend, and I scoffed and
it was
sad.
And the fact that Adelaide should have won by more under the expected score, that's horrific.
So the biggest win of the year, Adelaide?
It has to be, doesn't it? 120 odd? There was one earlier in the year that was about that much, though. West Coast are pushing for the record. No one's had 500-point losses since GWS's first years in the comp.
It's definitely possible.
So, yeah, the record's on, but I hope not for their sakes, but I kind of hope so for entertainment's sake.
It's the biggest win of the year.
Their Waffle team had a 120-point loss on the weekend. They come up against Subi, who are not...
And
they're not Subi good. Like, as good as Subi's been for the last while. Like, they're just a decent team this year. And they absolutely monstered West Coast on the weekend to the extent that it was like men and boys kind of stuff. And it's just because West Coast, and people are like, we can't keep saying injuries. It's like, they had 6 forced changes between the last game and this game. Like, they were good against Collingwood and had 6 forced changes. Like, I know the injuries are, like we've discussed, partially list management issues, but some of them aren't. And it also means that their player payments are going to be ruined this year because they're having to pay so many more players than they're meant to.
I don't know the rules on that, but it doesn't sound good.
Yeah, so like it's part of the reason like people have suspected that if they were already close to their TPP percentage for this year or over it, like you can be some years, that if they'd put Nat Nui onto their long-term injury list and drafted a player and then he played, it's just pushing that closer to that cap. And whether that's true or not, it's horrible to think that they're in such an injury crisis they even have to think about that because you shouldn't. It sucks. So last year I said I thought they'd right the ship this year because last year was such a matter of consequence, but like somehow the exact same thing seems to be happening but worse. They looked great against Collingwood for a quarter, and then they just completely caved in against Adelaide. And look, everyone's done that in Adelaide this year. You can't.
Don't want to go back there.
They're incredible there. I was so glad Geelong played them in Geelong and just had one half of Patrick Dangerfield before he got injured for 5 weeks. But yeah, Adelaide looked great in Adelaide, but not really anywhere else, I think is their issue. But it was horrible. That game was brutal. Truly. I thought Tex was going to kick 20.
He looked on from the get-go.
Gentle. He was kicking them from everywhere too.
Yeah.
Just ridiculous goals, as he does when he's at his absolute best. I did see someone tweet, wow, I really thought that Tex was meant to play his 250th game in like round 5 of this year. Can anyone explain to me where those 6 weeks went? Like, cackled a little bit.
You do love that shit.
Anyway, I think that's us this week. I am
Yeah.
ready to sleep for a year.
Lucky you got 2 days off.
I got sniffles.
Yeah, I'm just getting over them.
Yeah, I think I'm getting them. But you can find us as always at the Back Pocket AU on all socials, and we have these on anywhere you get your podcasts and YouTube. YouTube's not a watchy. It's just unless you like watching the little soundbar. Like as a kid, I used to love watching the little soundbar on Windows Media Player
Oh,
when listening to music.
I like the visualizer.
Yeah, there's one of them on the YouTube videos we post.
Oh, is there?
Just does a little visualize a bit.
I'm
Just
not
so
gonna
there's
watch
something
it.
happening in the background. But yeah, I've not.
I
Every
hate
now
the sound
and
of my
then
own voice.
I'm like, where do I find what part of the episode me or Alistair said this? I know. Let's hope YouTube did a better job of transcribing this than I could. And sometimes it did.
If you ever need to find the highlights, just look for where I picked the audio.
Yeah, they're I have to bring them down a lot. My mic's really quiet this week, so I'm going to struggle fixing that. But we'll see how we go.
Sounds like a you problem.
But thanks for joining the Back Pocket. The game is today, so enjoy Port versus Geelong tonight when this video comes out.
Oh, okay.
Those are usually crackers. Geelong versus Port in Adelaide. They have been Ripper games for a few years, so I'm hoping it's on again.
Shame they're not playing Narco.
They might. Oh, they're not. He might be the sub. He might be the sub.
We'll see.
They're not playing Jonas, that's for sure.
End the podcast.
End the
Jack.
podcast. We'll see you next week.
Bye.